Imagine checking your mailbox every day, only to find your important letters and packages mysteriously vanishing. Bills, bank statements, even event tickets, gone without a trace. At first, I thought it was just a mistake, but then the gossip started. Somehow, my nosy HOA neighbor knew things she should never have known. That's when I realized she wasn't just a neighborhood busybody. She was stealing our mail. And when the postal inspector set up a sting, well, let's just say she never saw it coming. You won't believe what happened in my quiet neighborhood. One by one, my important letters, bills, and even small packages started disappearing. At first, I thought maybe the mail carrier was making mistakes. But then when I checked with neighbors, they admitted the same thing. Their mail was going missing too. Now, in most communities, people might brush this off as random theft. But in an HOA neighborhood, where everyone knows everyone, something like this stands out like a sore thumb. What made it even stranger was that the missing mail always seemed to belong to the people who had disagreements with one particular woman, the self-proclaimed queen of the HOA. Let's just call her Karen. She was always nosy, always poking around, and always complaining about things like lawn decorations, trash cans left out too long, or cars parked slightly crooked. And now, mail started disappearing. People began to whisper, could it be her? Karen lived a few houses down from me, and if you've ever met someone who acts like they run the neighborhood, you know exactly the type. She strutted around with a clipboard, took pictures of minor infractions, and filed complaint after complaint with the HOA board. But what made people really suspicious was her timing. Just days after some of us lost our mail, Karen would casually mention things she shouldn't have known. For example, a neighbor said their hospital bill disappeared from the mailbox, and the very next day, Karen started gossiping about how that neighbor must be drowning in medical debt. Coincidence? Maybe once. But this kept happening. Another family had a package of event tickets vanish, and Karen bragged about how maybe it's better they don't waste money on silly trips. People were fed up, and when it happened to me, when a letter from my bank went missing, I knew we had to take action. That's when I called the Postal Inspection Service. Now, most people don't realize this, but mail theft is a serious federal crime. So when I explained everything to the postal inspector, he immediately took interest. He told me they had ways of setting up traps to catch whoever was responsible. The plan was simple but genius. They would place a decoy package in my mailbox, one that looked ordinary on the outside, but was secretly marked and tracked. Inside was nothing valuable, just some papers, but it was rigged in a way that if anyone stole it, the inspectors would know instantly. The inspector warned me not to say a word to anyone. He wanted Karen to feel confident enough to take the bait. So I played it cool. I went about my day as if nothing was happening. But deep down, I was nervous. Would Karen actually take it? Was I really about to see my nosy HOA neighbor get caught red-handed? The trap was set, and all we had to do was wait. The postal inspector parked discreetly down the street, pretending to be a contractor working on a house. Meanwhile, I kept an eye from my window. And wouldn't you know it, Karen just couldn't resist. Later that afternoon, I saw her strolling down the sidewalk, pretending to walk her dog. Except the funny thing was, her dog wasn't even with her. She walked right up to my mailbox, glanced around, and quick as lightning, pulled out the decoy package and tucked it under her arm. That was it. The inspector moved in. Within seconds, he approached her, showed his badge, and asked, "Ma'am, what are you doing with someone else's mail?" Karen's face went pale. She stammered, made excuses, claimed she found it on the ground, and was just returning it. But the inspector wasn't buying it. He had all the proof he needed. He wrote everything down, confiscated the package, and before she knew it, Karen was in the back of a police car. Neighbors watched from their driveways, whispering, gasping, and some even clapping. The queen of the HOA had finally been dethroned, and in the most humiliating way possible. After Karen's arrest, things in the neighborhood changed. People were relieved. Finally, they could get their mail without worrying. The HOA meetings became calmer, less hostile, and honestly, more enjoyable. Karen ended up facing federal charges for mail theft, a crime that carries serious penalties. I don't know the exact sentence she got, but let's just say she won't be bothering neighbors for a long while. The craziest part? Once she was gone, we discovered she had been stealing mail for months. She wasn't doing it for money. Most of it was just nosy curiosity. She wanted to dig into people's private lives and use it as gossip or leverage in HOA disputes. In the end, the neighborhood learned an important lesson. Sometimes the people who act the most controlling are the ones hiding the darkest secrets. And as for me, I still live here, and every time I open my mailbox, I smile knowing justice was delivered. Literally. And that's how the so-called queen of the HOA got dethroned, by her own greed and curiosity. In the end, justice was delivered right to her doorstep, and our neighborhood finally found peace. Stories like this just go to show you never really know what your neighbors are up to. So, what do you think? Was the sting operation the perfect payback? Or do you think she deserved even more punishment? If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more unbelievable neighborhood tales, and ring the bell so you never miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.